now. Okay.
Okay, so I'm going through the pickups here. So in the game level with all the starter assets here, there's this one empty called pickups, and I have a life pickup, and I have 3 different health pickups and 3 different ammo box pickups. You could also do this kind of stuff for keys, of things like that. I believe I do have a key somewhere in here that I can find. Door parent key. Let me move this out of the way. So anyway, the first thing I'll go through is what I did was I created an empty here, and let's hit F so we can look at it. And I've got this box. I can't remember. I'm not even sure if you can get these anymore, but you can change these out. So what it is, this is an empty that I put everything into, and I added a rotation script onto it, a life pickup script that you can find, and a box collider. And you can see the box collider here. If I change the size of it, let's see, I can change the size of the box collider if I want. And actually it messes with the size of the actual pickup, but that's because it's all part of it. The pickup itself is right here, and this is the little box. So if you wanted to have an extra life, but you want to add a different asset to it, you would add it here. So let's see, I'll just make it look like coin. Let me find a coin real quick. I guess I don't have a coin in this. Let's see, what else can I use? I'll use a rock, a really small rock. How's that? Okay, it's not really small, but it's small enough. I can make it smaller. 0.5. 0.5 and 0.5. So make this over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take it and I'm going to drop it as a child into my rotating life box. And what I can do is 0, 0, whoops, 0 and 0. And I can turn off the hit point box that I created. And now all it is it's actually a rock. Okay, so what's going on here is on the life box empty that I created, I have the rotate object script, I have the pickup live script, and I have a box collider that's set to a trigger. So what a trigger does is if I didn't have this set as a trigger, it would be like a collider. So I would run into it and it would be a box collider. Okay, so that means I wouldn't be able to run through it. With the trigger, it's set up so that I trigger the life pickup, and also I believe with the life pickup, let's see the script here. Whoops. I believe in the life pickup script, it tells you that once the object is picked up by a player, it'll destroy it. Okay, so let me show you really quick
Can you
what I
open
mean
that
by
up
that.
and let me talk a little bit about this coding
Okay.
and kind of give you guys just kind of like the introduction to, so this doesn't kind of freak you out.
Yeah.
Um, Notice that there's a lot of lines that have a double slash in front of them. Author, Stephen Rosas, date, purpose. So those are comments. So when you run across these, I would comment on them quite liberally. Just whatever you want to write about it to remember. It's just a good habit to get into. Not only for you, but let's say you're gonna, you take the class, you finish it, and then a friend of yours takes the class, and you go, "Oh, I got this great, project. Why don't you look at it?" These comments will be really, really helpful. Okay.
Another thing is we used to make it so that everybody, when they created a script, they had to comment, put comments in on everything, because the other teacher, even though he could kind of read scripting, he wasn't a scripter, so he wanted to know what your scripts did. So for instance, I commented at like almost every line. So if you see here, it says script equals game object dot find with tag. It's got parentheses and quotes, player, and then get component player health. And the comment is it finds an object tagged as player and gets a player health script. Okay, so the player itself is tagged, as you can see up here. There's a tag and it says player, and you can find that for here. You can create tags and stuff in this, and I have a player tag, I have an enemy tag, and you'll end up creating some tags on your own, but I believe it already creates a player tag for you when you create a default.
And try to use the drop downs as much as possible.
Right.
In other words, try to avoid typing if you can. Most of the errors that I find in working with students in coding is the number one error is typos or uppercase letters, and you forgot that player was uppercase, and you
Right.
typed in player with a lowercase. So you will run across a lot of scripts that are written by other people, and especially in, I think, gaming, they're not trained programmers, and so they have a lot of bad habits.
Oh yeah,
So
including me. I'll have some bad habits too, but
yeah,
I
so
always try to comment.
just be aware that the uppercase letters matter. Wherever possible, try to copy and paste code. Notice, for example, yeah, this doesn't have line numbers, which I wish it did.
It does, but it's not going to show it here. Let me show it on, hang on a second. I need to open up Visual Studio. I'll show you the
Visual
actual.
Studio is a really, I don't know if we'll get there in the class, because we're gonna go at the pace you guys are comfortable with, but I use Visual Studio Code in my development class, where it's all coding. It's not as complicated as C# or C+, whatever, but it's a valuable tool. I did a project for Salesforce working with developers, and they were using it for JavaScript, and they used Visual Studio Code as well. It's free. It does all the different programming languages you want. It has line numbers. So probably what you want to do is, if you do need to go in and work on that script, download Visual Studio Code. It's free.
It actually, the thing is with Unity, it uses Visual Studio as its primary coding language, not language, program. So you already have Visual Studio with your Unity setup.
Oh,
so
cool.
so what'll end up happening is, if you want to create a script, or you want to adjust a script, and you double click on the script, it's going to open up Visual Studio, but it's going to ask you for your Microsoft ID. That's the reason why I asked everybody if they have a Microsoft account. And then once you put your Microsoft ID in, it'll never ask you again for it on your machine.
Ooh, is like for Word, or for what is that?
What do you mean for Word? Yeah, like all that stuff. If you have a Microsoft account, then you just have to log into it.
It's built into
Visual
Unity.
Studio.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Visual Studio is called Microsoft Visual Studio,
Yeah.
but it's not with Office per se.
No. No, this comes with Unity. It downloads it with Unity. And
that's great. Yeah.
You just have to tell it. See how I've got all the different colors and stuff here?
Yep.
Let me stop sharing real fast and go back to my Unity project. Share that.
The colors are really helpful.
Yeah, it helps a lot. What you also need to do.
In other words, don't use that editor that he was showing you. I mean, it's good if you just want to go and do something real quick.
What I was showing you was it'll show you the script. If I click on a script, it'll show me the script, but I can't edit it here. I have to go into Visual Studio to edit it.
Oh, good. Okay.
What is this? Is it project settings, editor? Where is that? Preset manager. I'm sorry. There's a place here where you can actually go and tell it what you want to have. I know I wrote it down somewhere too. I'll have to look for that. I'll tell everybody where it is later. And it sets it up so that it's your prime scripting language or tool, and then you'll get those colors in it, and it'll help you. It'll help
Actually, you know
you
what?
repair that.
You know what I think what I'm going to do is let's go into this a little bit more, and then I'll stop the recording and I'll label this one, hey, this is an introduction to the scripting
Okay,
in Unity, and then we'll do the other one. But go back to
I'm going back
see.
to this.
How do you go
pickup
back
here.
to Visual Studio Pro here from here? Double click on it.
On Visual Studio, I just either
Yeah.
click on another script, or I don't have, you guys are all in my way right now, so I have to move this. Down at the bottom of my screen, I've got Visual Studio open. Can you see this?
Yeah.
It's this little thing, and I just click on it and it opens up since I already have it open. Otherwise I can select, if like right now in Visual, and you guys can't see this because I guess I need to figure out how to get it to share right. But if I only have like one or two scripts that are in Visual Studio, I can double click on one of my scripts in my game. Like
Your
I've got my
assets.
total ammos, and I can double click on it and it'll open it up in Visual Studio for me.
As well as show it to us here.
Yeah, right. So I'm only showing it there because I didn't want to have to jump back and forth
Yeah.
from Visual Studio to this. And let me see if can you see Visual Studio now?
No, but if you stop
Okay.
sharing and then
go
change
back.
screens,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Let's do that real quick, and then I'll stop the recording, and we'll go
Okay.
back and we'll do the other one. So the idea is that there'll be a series of little short recordings
Right.
to help you with this stuff. Okay.
So here's my total ammo script. I had just clicked on that and it had opened up in Visual Studio. Here's the pickup live script again.
Notice that this is a lot more friendly. There are code lines and there are colors, and the colors are important. So a couple tips. Yeah, go ahead, Stephen.
What ends up happening with Unity and Visual Studio, which is really cool, is that if you kind of understand how to script and you start putting out a line, it'll tell you what you need to do, what you might need to put in next, and it'll give you a list of words to put in. So like, what's the best way to put this? I don't even know how to explain this right. It's kind of like here, if I took out this stuff, and I'll just copy it so that I don't screw this up and put it down here, just because if I take this out, okay, it'll tell me there's a syntax error. It's expecting a parentheses. So
see the yellow bar on the left? The yellow bar on line 26 and on line 34?
Yes. Yeah.
Those are errors. That's telling you that you have a problem.
The red line is an error down there.
Yeah.
So
those are called tooltip hints that will kind of give you guidance as to
that's
what it thinks.
Right. Exactly what it thinks you need. Okay. And so then if I type game object, it gives me, or I put in a G, it says, look, you need a game object here, or there's other things here that it might be looking for. Okay. So
try to avoid typing, but if you do need to type, that's helpful. The other thing you can do is bring the script in here and notice the colors. The colors will guide you to see, do you have the right, did you do it right? In other words, the colors should match the model. So I think what you'll probably end up doing a lot is getting a script from a working game or project and then pasting it in and making sure that the colors are the same.
And see how it says game object and it's blue, highlighted blue. That means if I hit enter, it'll put that word in.
Yeah, it types in for you. So avoid typing. So this is a great tool to help you limit the amount of typing you need to do.
And all these things are something that I can put into it. And what do I have next? I can put in a tag. That was my next line. And then equal, equal. And it keeps, it'll keep telling me stuff.
I think that's more so for comparison.
So let's take that.
So there's another tool that I'll share with you that the developers that I was working with use a lot that they taught me. It's a website that I'll show you. And what you do is you put in the code, your code, right? It's not working, that you messed it up somehow. And then you put in the code of the original and it will tell you everything that's different. Like, oh, you forgot
Oh,
a
that's
period.
nice.
You forgot a period on the 16th letter on line 365, right? So there's a lot of little tricks that I can show you that
This will do this. It'll do this a little bit too. Let's say I save this now and I have an error there and I didn't know. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to go back to my Unity project and I'll show you what I mean. Okay. Down in my console, it tells me right here that in my assets, my scripts, my
we can't see
players.
that, Stephen.
No, it didn't share it. Oh, sorry. Okay, you see it now.
Yes.
Okay, so I've got this error now and it says in my assets, in my scripts folder, I have a player script that has a pickup and it tells me here that on line 26, there's an error there and it's expecting something and it'll tell you here. If you know how to read this stuff, it'll tell you where your error is. And so I can go back to my script and put that in and then it'll fix it.
Does it give you the line number?
Yeah, it says it right here. The first number is the line number where it is.
Oh, great. And 39
And
is the letter, is the,
as it goes all the way down to level line 39. So this this area here is all messed up. Yeah, go ahead.
Could you show it like you're actually fixing it? Just
Yes, I'm about to right now.
yeah.
I'm about to share it again. So I'm going back to Visual Studio. And you notice here's my error. It's in line 36 and it goes all the way down to line 39, which is my other stuff there. And right here, there's a little red mark that shows me I've got an error there. And so as long as I remember what it told me to do, whoops, wrong one. I put it in and my error is done. I've got no little red line and I save it. Stop sharing. I hate how this works. I need to share again. Go back to Unity. And now I should have no error there anymore. You notice it's just yellow, so I can clear it. There's no error and I'm okay. Okay, so that's kind of how Unity will tell you if you've got an error going on. If you've got a red in there and it won't clear, then you won't be able to play the game. You know you have a major problem. Sometimes you'll get reds in there. It might be a little bug in the system. It tells you something like the frustum from the camera's messed up or something like that. And they're just, they won't harm your game. They won't make it so that you can't build and stuff like that. Every once in a while, you'll run into something weird that won't let you make a build, but that's something, you know, we'll take care of if you run into it. So that's one way that you can mess around with the scripts. There is a problem with, remember I was talking about the guns and the gun script. Okay, let me open the gun script up here really fast.
These are all the scripts for their current game, right?
Yeah, right.
Not very many.
Yeah, surprisingly, there's not.
That's really pretty amazing for all that this thing does. There's not that many scripts.
Okay.
Now, they may have 500 lines of code, but
in the gun script here, I created something called I think it was this one in the reload time. Unless, of course, it's not in this one. Float, the serialized field here. This is important for some of this stuff. What this does is it makes it so that, yeah, it was rate of fire, I think. No, it's not. It's reload. It's got to be reloading time. Okay, the serialized field, and notice I put a little comment here. It says makes variable public in the inspector, but private to other scripts. So public means that you can see it, excuse me, you can see it on the script in Unity. It's got a little space that you can drop something in or change the number into it. And private means that you can't see it outside of the script, but Unity will see it and run it. Also, public means that other scripts can see it and can manipulate it if you tell it to. But what this here is, this normally would be private. Notice there's something that says public in front of these scripts. That means that like here, the particle system, the bullet casting, I have to drop a particle in. This was the bullet casing that flies out the side of the gun. Okay, so it's public, which means I can drop something in there, just like the muzzle flash, and I can change them around and stuff like that. These ones, you don't have to type private. If there's no public or private in front of these things, it means it's private and it can't be seen by other scripts. But with the serialized field, what it does is it makes it so that you can actually see it in the inspector, and you can manipulate the number. So I had to put this in, and I don't think anybody else has that, because I believe you guys might remember this. I was talking about how the new guns with the arms, they have a reload for each specific gun. And
Yeah.
I found that the gun was able to shoot before the animation for the reload was done. So I had to add this to it. And I
To
came,
delay it, right? Is that
yeah,
what we did to delay it?
kind of to delay it more. And I had to go in, and there were some numbers in here. It was, I believe it was it right there? There was a time area. It was in 116, I believe. Was it 117? Animator.
While you're
set
doing that, let me
goal
give you
right
some more
here.
general kind of just overview, so you just doesn't freak you out as much. First, notice the colors. Notice the indenting as well. See how things
Yeah.
are indented? Notice on line 127, that's called an if statement, and it's indented. And then inside of that is another if statement that's indented at 130, right? And then you have curly braces. See the curly brace on line 128 and the one on 132? They have to match.
Yep.
See that? So if you see something that's all squirrely and things aren't matching, all modern programming languages and scripting languages have usually a closing element and an opening element. Okay, those curly braces are really important. Those are functions. Essentially, a function is something that is multiple lines of instructions that they can combine with one word, and that's the name of the function. So you kind of write the function out, and then you call the function with a name, so you don't have to repeat all that code. So if you mess up that indentation, the script will still work. Like, for example, if the curly brace on line 128 doesn't match up with the one on line 132, it'll still work, but it just makes it really messy and hard to troubleshoot and hard to fix stuff.
It's hard to read, really.
It's hard
is
to
what
read
it
it
is.
as well.
And like right here, I have this if statement, and there's only one line under it. You don't need the curly brackets if you only have one line. But if I, oops, go back. If I should have done that at the other spot right here. But if I do this and I put in some curly braces, and I take that one out, I make that, and I put this one in, this is the exact same thing. So I could do this exact same thing down here. And when you have the curly braces, it means that you can have more than one line in it.
More than one line. Yeah, so you're gonna
do
probably
this.
have
Do like
to
that.
get in here and modify things. In other words, you're gonna be taking it from one project. It worked fine there. You take it into your project. Your project is a little bit different, so you'll need to know enough to go in here and change stuff. Probably what'll end up happening is Stephen will do it for you, or you'll see a tutorial on the internet, and you won't really know what you're doing. And that's okay. At first, it's okay. You just want to get your game working, right? You don't want to be a programmer. I'm kind of the same way. I don't program, but I work with a lot of programmers, and I need to understand the basics.
Right.
So just what I like about doing this kind of work is it kind of forces you to be precise, right? Is you can't be random, and you can't be sloppy, or it won't work. I mean, you can be really sloppy when you drive. You can be sloppy when you do the dishes. You can be sloppy, almost anything. But there are times when you have to be very, very precise in your life, and I think this is great training for. It has to be systematic. You have to look at one problem at a time. It's just really good training for life, I think. So although it's not the most enjoyable thing in the world, it is fun when you get it working and you fix it. It gives you a great sense of satisfaction. And
Oh,
also
yeah.
what you want to be aware of is, even though, maybe you'll never do any programming ever, I think this will definitely train your mind to solve problems that you're going to find in everyday life. Like I do this all day long, and I've done it for 20 years, and I'm really good at problem solving now. And even when I'm at a friend's house and they're kind of like fumbling around and trying to get something figured out with the TV, this will force you to be really systematic and organized, and it'll train your brain to kind of be a problem solver. So I would encourage you to kind of, when you feel comfortable, to dive into here and try to understand what it's doing. And as he's fixing it, ask him questions like, why did you do that? And what are you doing there? And all right, I'm going to stop the recording. I think that's
Okay.
probably enough.
Notice how everything is commented.
Yes, that's just really, really good technique.
And I did all of this so that it helps me when I was learning the code to actually know what the hell I'm doing. So I would sit there with people's videos, and they would put in a line of code, and I would stop the video, and I would literally figure out exactly what they were doing. Sometimes they tell you, and I would write in the comment, this
That's
is
a
what
really
this
good
does.
technique. Yeah, I'd encourage you all to do that. Okay, I'm going to stop this, and
Okay.
we'll do another recording.
Okay.